For nearly 3,000 years, man has been searching for it. That's not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets. It's like nothing you've ever listened to before. The Bible speaks of it leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions. An army which listens to it is invincible. It's the How to Survive podcast! Welcome to episode 90 of the How to Survive podcast, and boy do we have a treat for you because we are covering one of the all-time cinematic greats. It's 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Joining me as ever is Joe Sherville.
Howdy, y'all.
Glad to have you with me, Joe, as we dig through the rubble of this ancient film, ancient relic.
Be a good one, wouldn't it?
So
be a bumper episode, I think.
Yeah, well, hopefully we've got a few treats in store.
Now, what I'm saying, Chris, whenever there's wine involved, our episodes are the best.
Yes.
If you go back to the War of the Worlds episode, I think it's one of our most popular ever.
Yeah.
And we were blind drunk.
Yeah, it's true. Well, let's crack a bottle. Yeah. So if you're one of the few people who haven't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark yet, you've had 36? You've had 36 years to see it.
Yeah. 36 years that have not been kind to Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Or any of us, Joe.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to duck out because, as ever on the How to Survive podcast, we will be talking about it in full spoilerific style. And now is your final warning as we throw on with the plot recap ahead of our usual remit of How to Survive. Indiana Jones, archaeologist and adventurer, braves a booby-trapped Peruvian temple and retrieves a golden idol, only to have it snatched from him by rival archaeologist Rene Belloc. Indy is forced to surrender his find, but escapes. He returns to his teaching position at Marshall College, where two Army intelligence agents inform him that the Nazis are searching for Abner Ravenwood, his old mentor. Indy deduces, based on Abner's expertise on the matters, that the Nazis are searching for the Ark of the Covenant. The Nazis believe that if they find it, their armies will be invincible. Jones agrees to recover the Ark before the Nazis find it. Jones travels to Nepal to enlist the help of Abner's daughter Marion, who informs him that Abner has died. The Nazis also arrive, attempting to steal a headpiece to the Staff of Ra, given to Marion by her father, which is the key to finding where the Ark is buried. After a scuffle with Nazi commander Arnold Taut, Indiana and Marion escape. The pair travel to Cairo, where they meet with Indy's friend Salah, an excavator, and the pair quickly determine that the Nazis, led by Dietrich and Taut and aided by Belloc, are digging in the wrong place. The Nazis kidnap Marion, and it appears to Indy that she dies in a truck explosion. Indy and Salah infiltrate the dig site and use Marion's headpiece to find the real location of the Well of Souls, the temple where the Ark is buried. Indy discovers Marion alive in the camp, but doesn't release her for fear of alerting the Nazis. Indy, Salah and a small team uncover the Well of Souls, which is filled with snakes, Indy's pet peeve, you could say, and the Ark itself, but as Indiana makes to climb out, Marion is thrown down the well by Belloc, who seals the tomb with the pair inside. Indiana and Marion trash the tomb in order to escape and blow up the plane meant to carry the Ark back to Berlin. Panicking, the Nazis place the Ark on a truck to drive it away, but Indy quickly catches up on horseback, commandeering the truck and losing the remaining Nazis. Salah arranges for Indy and Marion to travel to England with the Ark by boat, but they are intercepted by a U-boat. Belloc, which, in case you hadn't guessed, Belloc, Dietrich and Taut are all on. Belloc insists on kidnapping Marion once again, but Indy stows away aboard and travels with them to an island in the Aegean Sea. Once there, Belloc plans to test the power of the Ark before presenting it to Hitler. En route to a staging area, Indy threatens to blow up the Ark with a rocket launcher, but Belloc calls his bluff, knowing that he would rather see the Ark opened than destroyed. Belloc, Dietrich and Taut conduct an ancient Jewish ceremony as they open the Ark, which at first appears to contain nothing but sand. Suddenly, ghost-like beings emerge, and Indy shouts at Marion to keep her eyes shut at all costs. The ghosts appear angelic and then terrifying, and lightning bolts shoot out from the Ark, killing all the observing Nazis. As Belloc, Tolt, and Dietrich all scream in terror, the Ark turns its fury on them. Dietrich's head shrivels up, Tolt's face is melted off his skull, and Belloc's head explodes. The Ark's lid is blasted high into the air before dropping back down onto the Ark and sealing it. Jones and Marion find their ropes burned off and embrace. Back in Washington, the government agents inform Jones that the Ark is somewhere safe and being studied by top men. We see the Ark being stored in a vast government facility among countless other crates. And that is the iconic ending to Raiders of the Lost Ark, the 1981 Steven Spielberg classic, written by George Lucas. Joe, what did you make of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Good.
Thanks, that's all we've got time for with episode 90 of the How to Survive podcast.
No, it's very good. It is a good film.
Yeah.
Highest grossing movie of the year it was released,
Mm-hmm.
and the only Indiana Jones movie to be nominated for an Oscar.
What was the Oscar for?
Best Picture. I mean, it's the only one to be nominated for a Best Picture
Oh, I
Oscar,
see.
I
Right.
should say.
Yeah.
I imagine they've all been nominated for things like costume or sound design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Best monkey scene.
Yeah.
Good things in the film are things like action and adventure.
Yes,
Bad
and
things in the film
Harrison Ford.
are things like predictability and
Yeah, but how much
shallow
of that
characters.
predictability is just because you've seen it before?
Well, it's meant to be predictable, isn't it?
Well, it's like a sort of Saturday morning adventure
Yes.
romp
Yeah.
of the sort of classic 1950s
Yeah.
style.
Exactly. The baddies are just like, they don't have a reason to be bad. They're just baddies.
They're just
Yeah.
completely without nuance. Just
the bad guy.
Nazis. Nazis are bad.
Yeah.
Like, and I was wondering if this is the first time that a real like blockbuster that wasn't a war film had Nazis as the like the baddie.
Yeah.
And because they're like they are like a mythical, almost like a mythical
Yeah,
baddie,
yeah.
aren't they? Like they're just sort of
Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need to explain who they are,
Yeah.
give them any context. It's just Nazis.
He's so bad. He's a Nazi.
Yeah. Is it this film or The Last Crusade where he goes, Nazis, hate those guys?
I think it's Last Crusade.
Yeah.
This is what snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, iconic. Yeah, but it's amazing, isn't it? It's probably one of, if not the best action adventure film ever made.
Well, you say that, and I knew you were going to say that because we discussed notes before we came on. I did some research.
Okay.
I googled action adventure movies, right? And you say it's the best one, so I posed to you the list that Google provided me of action adventure movies.
Right.
Hollywood Adventures from 2015.
Never heard of it.
No? That's the first one when you type in action adventure movie.
Right,
That's good
okay.
SEO.
Good.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
No.
Then Raiders of the Lost Ark. So,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
No.
That's 2016.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Force Awakens.
A good film, not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
A good film, not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The Avengers.
An okay film, not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Suicide Squad.
A bad film.
There's no action adventure in it.
Yeah.
Captain America Civil War.
An okay film.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, like an okay film.
Spectre.
No.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
Star Wars. 1977, Star Wars New Hope.
No.
I would say that is as good.
As good. Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? I mean, it is, I think, in spite of what we're literally saying right this second, it is pretty peerless, though. Like, it is, this and Star Wars are so well regarded.
No matter
for
what
a
age
reason.
you are, I think, whether you're 10 years old or 10,000 years old, you can sit down and watch Raiders of the Lost Ark and you get it. You get everyone's motivation is like the good guy wants to be good and have a cool adventure, and the bad guys just want to be bad.
Yeah, it's a film that does not have much in the way of nuance, as we said, but it doesn't require it, and it's an enjoyable film anyway.
Yeah, it's a good sort of Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, because you could eat a roast dinner and fall asleep in the second scene, wake up in like the seventh scene, And you haven't missed anything really.
Yeah, well, like that makes it sound like there's nothing happening in it.
No,
but it's quite the opposite, really.
Yeah.
Because it moves at 100 miles an hour.
It's non-stop action.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's the tone of it as well is perfect, which sort of links into what you were saying in that, anyone can watch it and get something out of it. Spielberg, he's just the master, as we always say. He's the best.
A populist filmmaking.
Yeah. And I sort of never noticed how post Star Wars it feels.
Yeah.
Because it's like shot in Tunisia, a lot of it. Harrison Ford, obviously. John Williams, a lot of the score sounds like Star Wars, obviously. And yeah, it's just got that same, I think, adventurous tone. I think watching it now, it's been a few years since I watched it. I always remember Marion as like a consistently strong female character.
Yeah.
But after she gets introduced, where she like drinks that big guy under the table in Tibet, she mainly becomes like a damsel, doesn't she? She doesn't really have a lot to do.
Exactly.
She just needs to be rescued. Although that said, she's not nearly as bad as Willy in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Which is like the low watermark of like Indy.
Yeah.
Like just infuriating to watch.
Always needing to be saved.
Yeah. And I think nowhere is the film's quality more evident than the truck chase, which I think is the best action sequence in any film ever.
Really?
Yes, I do. I think it's got everything that you want from an action sequence.
Yeah.
So it's got physicality, like everything has weight to it. It's got multiple stages to it.
Yeah.
So, he's on horseback, then he's on the side of the truck, the cabin, under the truck, on top of the truck, whatever. It's got real jeopardy, both like in the moment and long term. If they lose the Ark, it's bad. And he could also go under the wheels of the truck. It's got humor, like where, I don't know, there's a certain sort of rollicking humor to a lot of it. I think, a lot of the violence is very sort of Saturday morning, big punch noises and all that sort of thing.
Do you know how they made those punch noises?
It's like leather jackets.
Being hit with a baseball bat.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The spectacle of it as well, obviously. Although they do go a little bit too far when they have that cliff that comes out of literally nowhere and they just drive off it.
Yeah.
And like this, it's high stakes as well. Like it feels intense and exciting and gripping.
Stakes are always good in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care about what happens and you don't think that there's a risk, then
exactly.
And there never really is any risk for Indiana Jones.
It's
more like you want him to get to. He's at point A at the beginning of the film, and point B, say, is the end of the film. Everything that happens in between is like, I hope he still gets there. Like,
but then I think he does. I think one thing that Harrison Ford in particular is really good at, and you see it in Han Solo as well, is like he takes a beating and then like he sells that really well. He's really good at looking like he's been punched really hard. Like there's the bit where he fights the guy under the plane and the guy punches him in the face. And he you see his like knees like shake and he has to sit down. Like those sort of little touches. Again, it's really like, Saturday morning
it's
kids
like,
TV almost. But it's just it's fun. Yeah. It has a sense of fun to it.
Yeah. I can't think of a film that's been released in the last 20 years that is like it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, the last 20 years are things like Avengers and, mainly superhero films, franchise films like Bond.
Yeah.
And none of them have that same physicality to them, I don't think. Especially not superhero films.
No, when we watched Spectre, we did say like that had...
Yeah, the train...
Yeah, the train scene had like a good, hefty fight to it.
Yeah, I think back then we said, it's a bit like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig feels like he's actually having, actually being beaten up.
Yeah, the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah. It's a bit like Indiana Jones. I always think that Indiana Jones looks like a man who's being beaten.
I agree, the truck chase was good. The lead into it was maybe my favourite line of the film, which is when he said, okay, you stay here, I'm gonna go after them. And he says, how are you gonna do that? And he says, I don't know, I'm making it up as I go along.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole film feels like that.
It does feel like.
It feels like he's just being resourceful, and like the next scene is him running out of a stable on a horse.
Yeah.
But it also feels like it's just like everything is made up as it goes along. Like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so he's in a desert and now he's going to be on a ship, and then he needs to be on a
He's in
plane.
Tibet or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think that's part of its appeal as well. He's like, I mean, it's a very American all-action hero vibe, isn't it? But he is an appealing character because he doesn't feel like someone who can do anything. He feels like someone who is making it up.
He's
and
like a
just sort of
hero.
improvise. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, well, no one else is going to do it.
Yeah.
I happen to be the expert in terms of like the arc or the running through tombs at speed or whatever. Like, he's just an appealing character, I think.
Now you mentioned running through tombs at speed.
Mm-hmm.
I've marked a little digression that I wanted to have.
Okay.
And it is a digression, but I think it's one our listeners probably will appreciate. They're massive nerdos, aren't they? So I think they probably read comics. They probably watch anime.
Probably listen to podcasts.
Yeah, about movies hosted by nerdos who read comics and watch anime.
Sure.
Now, the thing is, it reminded me of Tomb Raider.
Okay.
And I was thinking, like, I really want to play Tomb Raider now. Like, and I'm talking Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3. Before it took a diversion and went like, oh, Lara Croft's backstory, how she's an orphan. Like, no, what I want is a woman in a cave.
You want a woman in a cave.
Yeah, I want a woman in a cave, and you have to work out how to get out using like your common sense, right?
Yeah,
you have to feel your way
intuition.
forward. Yeah, exactly. You have to push rocks and move things, and like with Tomb Raider 1 and 2, there's some physicality to it because you can fall off things and die. You can get shot, you can get eaten, and it's like you're playing Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And
I'd imagine Tomb Raider is
absolutely,
completely influenced by Indiana Jones.
even down to like you get chased by boulders, and
exactly.
And there's the arrows that shoots out walls and stuff.
Yeah.
But it just made me really want to play a game like that, and I don't think they make them anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the Uncharted series, which are very Indiana Jones.
They are, I agree with you. But the problem with those games is that they don't rely on that level of intuition. Like, it's more like press X now, press square now.
Yeah, I take your point. Yeah, definitely. Well, there's also the new Tomb Raider games,
which I imagine is also
quite like Uncharted.
Yeah. It's more like Tomb Raider 1 and 2 was like frustrating. You could easily smash your PlayStation up because you couldn't work out what to do next.
Yeah,
like you're trapped in a tomb.
Yeah.
Whereas Uncharted, like, there'll be like a glinting thing in the corner and you're like, oh, right, I need to go there.
Yeah, I need to go there. Then it will come up with the button that I need to press and whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
A little bit of digression there for the fans. Tweet in if you want to hear us talk about more video games, and maybe we will start a video games podcast.
Well, we've discussed it at some length,
and
obviously it's an old film. It's a well-discussed film.
Yes, there's not much more we can say at this
exactly.
point.
There's not a lot new to bring to the table.
One of the greats of the American New Wave.
Yeah, yeah.
Spielberg's best.
But what do we know, Joe?
Yeah,
about the Nazis, eh?
Yeah.
As we said, they're just bad guys.
They are.
They're basically like Bond villains in this film, aren't they?
Yeah.
And also, it's pre-war as well, so it's like they're like they haven't done all the awful.
I think given how long it takes to travel in the late 30s,
Yeah.
I imagine by the end of the film, the war has started.
Right, okay. You think it takes place over like 10 years?
6 months.
Yeah.
It's 39 when it starts.
It's 36, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the Nazis wouldn't, in 36, the Nazis wouldn't have been like, oh my God, he's a Nazi. It's like...
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's...
Yeah,
but then I think the implication behind the Secret Service agents is that, oh, America always knew.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we always knew. We're just waiting for our moment to strike.
Oh, these Nazi chaps, they've started looking for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, like you say, they don't have to, when they're talking to Jones, it's just like, the Nazis are trying to do it. And it's like, that is shorthand for everything that they will go on to do.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, they're a political party that have some right...
It's 1936. They've just come to power.
Yeah.
And he's like... The Nazis are doing. Oh, the Nazi! They just, they've just taken power in Germany.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Yeah. And like,
but I hope they don't go on to do worse.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, there's not a lot to say about them because they are just basically goons, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like they're just
the goobers. Yeah.
It's like they don't have there's not a single like Nazi character that has any personality apart from Tote.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did notice actually rewatching this film is that the headpiece. They only have one side of it.
Yeah.
And it's because...
It's burned onto his hand.
Yeah, exactly, which I thought was a really nice touch, which they don't really make clear.
No, it's just he shows his hand and you can deduce it.
Yeah, exactly, which I thought was really nice. He's a great villain, and has one of the best like villainous moments where he brings out that coat hanger, and like,
you think, what the fuck's that?
Yeah, well, I was watching it with my girlfriend who has never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark before, and she was like, and then he puts the coat hanger, she's like, oh. And I was like, that's exactly what that is like what they wrote it to do. It's amazing to watch. Like, I've never seen a thing land so perfectly with with an audience member. So what do we know, Joe, about the Ark of the Covenant?
Well, it was used to transport the pieces of the broken Ten Commandment plates. Tablets. Yeah. And it's somehow in the movie imbued with God's power. Yeah,
well, it's a gold-covered wooden chest as well. Right. And it historically it appears in Christian religious texts as well as Islamic religious texts. Right. But yeah, as you say, there's not a lot of evidence that it had magical God rays coming out of it.
No.
Other than the evidence that is presented in the film.
As fact.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are these? He's like, who knows? It could be.
Yeah, well, exactly that. Yeah. Like, yeah, well, I want to come on to that in a bit.
Because if I drew like a gold object and had lines coming off it, you'd say that's glare.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, what's this?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, perhaps it's like God's power.
Well, maybe we can go straight on to How to Survive then, because this links very neatly into something that I want to talk about. Which is that basically, if you believe in occult artifacts and believe that like historical accounts of those artifacts and their powers are accurate, then it's a good idea to pay heed to the artistic depictions of those artifacts. Because with the agents present, he looks at a giant painting of the Ark of the Covenant being opened, and surrounding it are like hordes of people dying, like very clearly they're on the ground, like
dead and dying,
writhing in pain.
Absolutely,
lights coming out of it, and one of them goes,
"Good God!" Yes, that's just what the Hebrews thought.
Now what's that supposed to be coming out of there?
Lightning, fire, power of God, or something.
I know Indiana Jones is a cynic. Belloc clearly isn't, because he's doing the whole like
ceremonial stuff. Yeah.
So maybe if he'd had a look at that like painting beforehand, he would have realised, because it's a bit rich to do that and then go, I had no idea that this could happen. I mean, I've spent my life studying Ark of the Covenant texts and paintings and artifacts and all that sort of thing.
What a surprise.
Yeah. How could I have known that this would happen? Because it should serve really as some sort of like instruction manual, or like you were saying, some sort of ancient version of one of those hazard symbols that are designed to be understood by any language, like regardless of where you come from. And it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Like,
this is not a good thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
If you play with this, you will die.
Yeah. If you open the lid, light will come out and everyone will die, which is exactly what happens in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if you're going to go to one of the if you get, I can't believe that Belloc's never seen that painting.
It's in Indy's book, isn't it? Which is like, perhaps it's like an old dusty book.
Yeah,
maybe it's unique to him.
I don't think it is. I think it's probably.
It doesn't look like it's mass produced. I mean, it could be his private.
Well, you think
collection.
He hand painted that painting?
No, I mean maybe he because he's friends with the museum curator.
Right.
Maybe it's from that museum and Belloc's never visited. You know.
Right. Okay.
I'm an apologist for Indiana Jones. The rest.
Well, you're an apologist for Belloc, the Nazi. So in many ways, you're a Nazi apologist.
Yeah.
Is the implication that Belloc's going to double cross the Nazis?
Well, he's in it for himself. That's how I read it. Like he doesn't really. He's kind of like ignoring the politics of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They probably sat around in the evenings like, oh, we love like concentration camps, and he just like, oh God, I wish you'd shut up about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I just really want to get this Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then is he doing that ceremony so that it like, is linked to him? Like he has the power?
Yeah, he wants to.
So he wants to do it.
His plan is to take it for himself.
Yeah.
And he said as much to
Marion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work out for
No, it didn't. He's been dead.
Yeah. Have you got any ideas on how to survive?
Yeah. The first one is a very simple one.
Mm-hmm.
And it applies to a lot of films. We don't talk about it enough, right? But it does apply. And that's to mind your own business.
Okay.
Right? And I'll give you one example, first of all, to start us off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big guy, the big 7 foot tall, shirtless Nazi thug.
Yeah.
So he walks out of like his...
The strong man.
yeah. He's a professional wrestler, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I know he literally is, but he
Yeah.
also looks like it in the film.
Yeah. He's been in 2 Bond films as villains.
He's
and
2
Indiana
characters.
Jones. Yeah.
Well, he's 2 characters in this film.
And then 2, he's in the other one as well. He's like the...
All right.
You know the big guy in, I think, Last Crusade?
Probably, yeah.
Who is like the same character and dies in like the same way.
Yeah, it's like, do we know any big Germanic-looking people? I can think of one.
Yeah. Anyway, he like comes out of his like shack where he's sleeping and looks over and he's like, sees like a guy on a plane and just like runs over. Like he can't wait to get involved.
But isn't he a Nazi?
He is. He's a Nazi, yeah.
Yeah, but isn't it? If you're a Nazi soldier, aren't you sort of duty bound to intervene?
Well, if it was like in Afghanistan, say,
right,
and like there was an insurgent in the camp, would the guy like go, I know, I'll run over there and fight him with my bare hands?
Well, that is another thing, yeah. Like,
or would
why
he be
doesn't
like,
he just
what, shout, there's the guy? Like,
yeah, or just beat him to death with a wrench or any tool
a
that's like
gun on an Air Force base.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah. So either do it properly or mind your own business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah, to play devil's advocate, maybe he didn't have a gun to hand.
Yeah. You just been in the shower or something.
But then he basically looks like he's trying to make a sport out of it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which is why he does the whole like Queensberry rules, arm waving thing.
Well, how about Belloc? Do you think he could have survived if he just minded his own business?
Well, he is minding his own business.
Yeah.
He's literally minding his own business.
Yes. He's being paid to do this.
Yeah.
It couldn't
he's
be
a freelancer.
more literally his
He's a
business.
freelancer.
Yeah.
And it's like if you were offered a freelance job and you went, well, I better mind my own business, actually. Like, I don't want to get involved in other people's stuff.
Terrible business, man. Well, this brings us to Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Now, he does survive the film, so it's sort of a moot point.
Does, yeah.
But we often say, like, if someone survives, how could they've done it better?
Right.
So when the Nazis came to him, when the American spies came to him, and they said, do you want to come and do this thing? And he should have gone, well, what's in it for me? Because he's a selfish person, generally.
Yeah.
And they go, well, it would stop the Nazis getting it. And he just said, well, that German, like, newly elected German party, who I assume are going to do wonderful things.
Yeah.
And the museum curator's like, oh, we could use that Ark of the Covenant in our museum. He said, well, that's fine, but at the same time,
I don't care.
Yeah. Like, I have a class to teach, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I'm well paid in my position here. I'm a doctor of archaeology. And frankly, I know Belloc's going to screw me over because I don't like him that much. He keeps robbing me. Right? If he'd done that, it would have saved a lot of bother.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the theory as well that Indiana Jones is the catalyst for the Nazis finding the Ark in the first place. Yeah. So if he didn't get involved, they wouldn't have found it. So, yeah, I mean, in a roundabout way, you're probably right. Yeah. But like, you could go right back to the source and say, when the agents come and say, "Do you want to do this?" You just go,
"No, not interested."
Yeah.
Just been on a mission which went badly.
Yeah,
not interested. Although he does love it, doesn't he?
I think that's.
He loves it. He wants revenge on Belloc, who he knows is involved.
Yeah, it's dick waving, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
shallow.
So maybe it goes back to that. Let ego not be the enemy. Step back from it and say, "Do I need to do this?" No, the sun's still going to rise tomorrow if you don't go on the mission. Yeah, you're going to have like food on your table, clothes on your back. What's the issue? You don't need to go gallivanting.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the sort of gentry thing, isn't it? Like arrogance. Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I do, yeah. Like I said, I think
it's a very oblique point, but basically, mind your own business.
Yeah, like I said, I think that it's very possible that Indiana Jones being there in the first place actually makes the whole situation worse. Well, in a similar vein, the army intelligence officers that hire him, there seems to be no government oversight or assistance from them whatsoever. It's basically, do you want to go save the world? Yes. Okay, see you later. He never, literally doesn't talk to them at all, or anyone involved in the army until he's solved the issue, and he's hired. he's hired as a freelancer, as we said, and his job is to literally save the world from an unstoppable army of Nazis with no assistance.
Yeah.
Like, it's another instance that we have in these sorts of films where the options are basically success or absolute ultimate failure.
Yeah.
So why not help him? And I guess, is it because that it would be tantamount to a declaration of war on America's part?
I don't think they thought it out that much.
If it's an actual, but like they obviously believe strongly enough that the Ark of the Covenant is a weapon potentially.
Yeah.
Because they send him to do this thing. If it was just like, oh, the Nazis are raiding Egypt because they want to put stuff in a museum, they'd be like, well, that's wrong. But it's not worth risking an international incident over.
It's an issue of national security, international security.
Yeah.
If they get the Ark of the Covenant, then they will take over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So why send one man?
Why? Yeah, just because the stakes are like success or the world is dominated by Nazis,
and he always fails to Belloc. Like Belloc always beats him.
Yeah, exactly. Like like it seems weird that they just go, all right, cool, you're going to sort that out.
You're the guy for the job, and get in there and do it.
Yeah, and then they just go. I mean, are they just sitting there going like, oh, I really hope he's doing it. I mean, you've told me in the past that as a freelancer, you've subcontracted work out to like the Philippines and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Indiana Jones did that. I just phoned up Salah and went, "Do you want to just have a knock over?"
You in Cairo now? Yeah. Tell you what. Give me a call back in about an hour. If you want to nip downtown. Yeah. Is Belloc there?
Yeah.
And
is the Ark of the Covenant there?
Yeah. Just give me a call back, and we'll if you could price up that job for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. Like it's bizarre. Yeah. Like I can only imagine that the reason that they don't do it is because it's like an underhand Secret Service type deal. And
Black Ops.
Yeah, it is basically Black Ops, isn't it? It's 1930s Black Ops.
Yeah.
1930s Black Ops is a man in a leather jacket and a fedora and a whip.
Amazing.
It's amazing how the country developed over the next like 60 years. Yeah. But yeah, so just help him out a bit. Like even in like
one person to go with him with a gun. Like
just
anything.
Give him a gun. They don't even ask. He has to bring his own gun. The gun that he takes is his one that we see him packing. Like
amazing. With 6 bullets.
Yeah.
No spare ammo.
Yeah. Don't need it. Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, so just help him out.
Yeah. He's able to get on a plane with a fucking revolver in his suitcase.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, being tracked by a Nazi.
Yeah. Amazing.
What? The Army Intelligence, they're shit, aren't they? They don't even know that Tote is in fucking America about to get on the same plane as Indiana Jones. Their secret agent. Do you know what? I think Indiana Jones' cover might be blown because a Nazi commandant just got on the plane with him going to Tibet. I think that might be an issue somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably just leave it. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So just help him out for goodness sake. Yeah. Poor guy.
Give him a private jet. That would solve that would solve it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have anything more?
Yeah, I do. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
So you remember back a few weeks back now, we covered a movie.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. We covered a movie called The Invitation.
Yes.
Which was about a man who goes to a dinner party and
bad things happen.
Yes, exactly. And what I proposed was what I revealed to the world, I should say, was Sherville's Index.
Yeah.
Which was my formula for whether or not you should go on a journey.
Yes.
Right? Take a trip. We used an example of you visiting your dad, and we worked out that was beneficial.
That was worthwhile.
Yeah. But we had it turned out the guy in the film shouldn't have left because it worked out badly. Now the formula, to refresh your memory and the listeners at home may not have listened to The Invitation. The Sherville's Index basically came about because I was trying to decide whether I should visit my friend. Mm-hmm. Now the formula suggests that you should take the time you spend at your destination, divide it by the time you spend traveling. Then you multiply that by a value out of 10 based on the enjoyment you'll have whilst there.
Yeah.
You multiply that out of 10 by by what it will mean to other people to have you there. And you divide it all by 10.
Okay.
And that should give you a number out of 100.
Right.
And that indicates the higher the number, basically, the more you should go. The way it works, basically, is that the final value, right? If it's above 10, it means you should go on your trip.
Yeah. I mean, it's scalable though, isn't it? So if it's 99, you definitely
dead
should go.
cert.
Yeah.
But if it's anything below 10, it's like don't even entertain it.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
And I thought maybe we could do a variation on Sherwood's index for Indiana Jones's little
Indiana's index.
Yeah. Now it won't work because Sherwood's index is based on like day trips. Like,
Yeah.
should I leave my house to go visit a friend or go to the shops or anything that involves opening the front door? Now that works on an hour basis, hourly trips, maybe a couple of days. Indiana Jones has probably gone for a while, so what I'm going to do is scale it up to days.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should still work.
Okay. Well, let's find out.
So how many days do you think Indiana Jones spends on his trip?
I would say 1 in Nepal.
Yeah.
Day in Nepal.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be 3 in Cairo, isn't it? Because there's the day they arrive, the night when the monkey gets poisoned eating the dates.
Yeah.
Then they go to the dig site the next day, and then they're digging through the night, aren't they? And then they leave the next day having rescued the Ark. So that's 3 days.
Then you got the day on the boat.
Then you got the day at the boat. Yeah. And then that evening is when...
No, because a night passes on the boat.
Right.
And they get attacked in the morning, and then that evening is
but I think the night that they rescue the Ark, they get on a boat.
Yeah.
Then they sleep that night.
Yeah.
Then they get attacked in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then he stows away on the U-boat, and they arrive that same day into the port.
It's nighttime when it all goes down, though.
Yeah, but when they're walking to the thing, I think that is during the same day.
Okay.
So I think it's 6 days, is it?
6 days.
In total?
Let's go with 6. That's fine. Now,
it's foggy. It's foggy. But
yeah. How many days did he spend travelling?
Well, let's say 2. A day's travel there and back, I reckon.
Yeah, to Nepal. He's got a day to travel to Nepal, and he's got Nepal to Egypt, which is probably 2 days.
Is that 2 days?
Well, it'd be, 2 days total. So a day to Nepal,
a
day to Egypt.
Yeah.
By the time, checked in, checked out, all that sort of thing. Then you got, 2 days back. So that's 4 days, say. 4 days of travel.
Okay. Right.
Now...
This is already getting pitched against him now.
Exactly. Yeah. How much enjoyment does he get out of it?
Well, I don't think... Well, it depends. I think with the benefit of time, I think his enjoyment would go up quite significantly, wouldn't it?
Looking back on it, he'd say, that was a fine time in my life.
That was an adventure, that I enjoyed that. Beating the Nazis, great.
It was an action adventure.
Exactly, yeah. So I reckon... I mean, it depends. At what time...
When he's getting punched in the face by a 7-foot man,
you'd
assume it would be low.
But I think because this is he's making these calculations before he goes on his trip, isn't he? So he's wondering how much he's going to enjoy it. Yeah. And I reckon he's quite a confident man. He thinks he's going to get the job done, and so he thinks that he's going to enjoy it a lot.
You think so?
Yeah, I reckon a high number, like 8 or something like that.
An 8?
Yeah, I reckon he'll be like knock two off for peril.
Yeah,
but he'll be. Yeah, I'll do that.
But he's Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. He's a Harrison Ford character, so he's always got that bit of like, God, you know what I mean? Like, it's
I know what you mean,
inconvenient.
But when he's packing his bags, he's excited, isn't he?
He is, yeah. But
so he wouldn't be excited for a thing that he doesn't think he's going to enjoy.
True. Do you think there's a bit of doubt though? Is it all a bit of facade? Like, is he doubting himself? Oh, I've got to come up against Belloc again.
No, I don't think so. I think he's looking forward to the opportunity to get one over Belloc.
Okay.
And then in hindsight, that works even better because he knows that he does. So I think it's an 8.
An 8. All right, we'll go for an 8 for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Now, how much does it mean to the other people to have him there?
So the Nazis?
Well, it doesn't mean much to have him there for the Nazis.
So what if we have a sub? You put in brackets because there's multiple sets of people. Yeah. You have a figure for Marion, a figure for the Nazis, and a figure for the rest of the world.
Right.
Okay. So I reckon Marion is an 8.
Well, no, she hates him.
Well, she does hate him. Yeah. They
end up in basically getting married. So.
Yeah.
They do get married in episode 4, don't they?
They do. Yeah. A New Hope. No, I 7. Should we say 7?
7.
Yeah.
I'd go 6.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it.
If you took an average of all of every minute you were like, how about now?
Yeah.
How about now? I think the average would be about 6.
Most of the time it's okay, fine. So 6. Yeah. Nazis is a 1.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then I reckon the rest of the world is a 10 because they owe him a debt of gratitude. Like if you told the rest of the world, oh, there's this problem, but we've got a man who is going to save the world.
Yeah.
You'd be like, brilliant. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm well happy with that. So that's a 10.
Right. Now I'm going to take an average of those three. So 10 plus 6 plus 1 is 17.
Divided by 3.
Yeah.
5 point something.
5.6. Now we'll do the full formula, work through it. So we've got 6 days spent on his trip.
Okay.
And we're dividing that by 4. 4 days spent travelling.
Okay.
That gives us 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to multiply that by 8
Okay.
for Indiana Jones's enjoyment.
Yeah.
That gives us 12. We're going to multiply that by 5.6, which was everyone else's enjoyment,
Okay.
which gives us 67.2. And then we'll do the final calculation, which is divided by 10,
Yeah.
6.72. So
He shouldn't have gone.
he shouldn't have gone.
Now, here's the problem with doing it this way.
Yeah.
Is that should we take into account the fact that the Nazis won't like him being there?
Should he factor that in?
Like, when he's making this calculation, should he
Yeah.
be going, well...
The Nazis aren't going to like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I will annoy the Nazis, though.
Well, I don't want to piss those guys
Like,
off.
if it's a villain,
Yeah.
should it be because they're a baddie
Yeah.
and his presence will annoy him? It's like inverted, so it would be a 10 instead. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, let's take them out of the equation, right?
Okay.
So we're going to go for the rest of the world and Marion, which is 16 divided by 2 is 8. Which
Okay.
gives us a better number to work with.
Yeah.
So going through that again gives
12
us...
by 8.
12 by 8 is 96.
Oh, it's still not enough.
Divided
though.
by 10, we've got 9.6. And it doesn't quite hit the 10 threshold.
No.
Now, what you could do, though, and I'm willing to make an exception on this case, because he does save the world.
Yeah.
His being there does save the world, whether he enjoys it or not.
Yeah.
There's an element of self-sacrifice. I mean, if we're talking about net survival, which we like to do on the podcast,
Yeah.
I mean, even if Indiana Jones had died, if the whole world had survived,
Yeah.
it would be worth it.
Yes.
So I'm going to say, even though he shouldn't have, from a selfish perspective, shouldn't have gone on the trip,
Yeah.
I'm glad he did.
Good. Yeah. Correct. That's the first Sherville's index with a qualifier, basically.
Yes.
Like, no, he shouldn't have gone, but we're all glad that he did.
Yeah. Like the data would be on screen with a little asterisk saying, like, disregard this if you need to save the world.
Exactly, yeah. You're like, that should trump whatever the thing is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So always good to see Sherville's index at play.
Yeah.
I've got another thing here, Chris.
Okay.
Are you familiar with oblique strategies? Or oblique strategy cards?
Possibly, but please tell me more.
Yeah. So they were invented by Brian Eno.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
The music producer
Mm-hmm.
and artist. And Peter Schmidt as well. They worked together and they made these oblique strategies cards, which are meant to, when you have a problem, say like writer's block or any creative problem, you draw a card and it has something printed on it which is somewhat oblique, but it helps you to solve the problem by thinking about it in a different way. Now, I have a pack here, leather bound, and I thought it would be interesting if we each draw a card from the oblique strategies pack.
Okay.
And maybe we could put ourselves in a situation Indiana Jones finds himself in, draw a card, and we'll say, what could we have done differently? So you go first. Maybe you're in the pit. The roof's just been sealed.
The Well of Souls, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, give the game away, which I feel that ship has sailed somewhat by that point
Yeah.
for old Indy.
So what do you interpret that to mean? Like, how would you give the game away if you're to save yourself when you're in that pit?
I don't know. Beg?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Is that giving the game away? Like I've had this cocky attitude until now,
But I'm a coward.
but maybe I don't want to die in a pit of snakes just out of pride.
Yeah. I'll draw my card. Which situation do you want mine, Chris?
What about when he's hanging off the front of the truck?
Right. Okay. Decide what to do.
Okay.
Do something boring.
Okay. Right. How would you interpret that?
Well, he could just it would be boring if he just let go and stopped fighting, and because he's able to skid down the car. You see what I mean?
I don't think he's doing that in a very controlled manner, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
If he just let go of the truck, it probably would not go so well for him.
So do something boring would be to stop fighting and just roll to safety.
Yeah, maybe.
what he does is action adventure.
Yeah.
And that is to carry on fighting to win the day.
Yeah.
But he could have survived by even just climbing up to the cab of the car, punching the driver in the face, and then driving away from the action.
Yeah.
Would be somewhat boring.
Yeah.
For a movie watcher.
Doing it cleanly and perfectly.
Just take yourself out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, maybe. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting from Brian Eno. Thanks for emailing in.
Thanks, Eno. Thanks, Brian.
Well, Joe, it's been 90 episodes of the How to Survive show so far.
I've enjoyed every single one,
but
except for Independence Day researchers.
Well, here's the thing, though. We've never actually put your survival skills to the test, have we?
Well, I haven't died yet.
That's true, but not in a cinematic situation anyway.
No, exactly.
Your life is distinctly uncinematic. Yeah. So here we go, because I've written something very special for you. It's a challenge. It's a story. Okay. Do you remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Yeah, I remember. I used to have a Choose Your Own Goosebumps.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So much like that, could you survive as Indiana Jones? A How to Survive role-playing game. Are you ready?
This is original.
This is original. Yeah, I wrote this afternoon.
Just so the listener knows, this is all new to me. I have no idea what you're doing. I have no idea. Yeah. So talk me through the process.
Okay, well, you take the role of Indiana Jones as he explores the temple containing the Crown of Lombardy, a crown featuring a band of iron supposedly beaten out of one of the nails used in the crucifixion. Rumour has it that the wearer becomes omnipresent in all places at once, just like God. But you, Indiana Jones, don't believe in such silly tales. Thank goodness you got here before Emilio Heilmann, your Italian Nazi arch nemesis.
Great.
One last thing to remember, Joe. Never lose your hat.
Right.
Now that particular challenge is going to manifest itself in that at any point you can shout, "My hat!"
Right.
And that will trigger Indiana Jones grabbing his hat.
Right, okay.
Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
There's one specific situation in the story where that will be necessary.
Okay.
Now, like in the spirit of many Choose Your Own Adventure things, there are multiple paths. There are multiple endings. If you get a really shit ending really early on, we're going to go back and correct that.
Okay, yeah.
All right? So basically, I'm going to talk you through a situation, and then as Indiana Jones, you're going to have to put yourself in the position of Indiana Jones.
Okay, yeah, I've got my whip, got my hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you enter the Temple of Monza, deep below the streets of Milan. A rat scuttles across the floor, and spiders hang from webs above you. 2 doors are open ahead of you. Do you go left or right?
These wooden doors?
Just temple doors, so they could be doorways.
Yeah, they're portals.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right.
You step out into a long, torch-lit corridor. Vines creep down the sides of the walls and a pungent smell hangs in the air. Above you, a solid gold beam is visible hanging from the ceiling. It seems decorative. Something seems off about the floor, however.
My hat!
That's fine. Indiana Jones grabs his hat. It's fine. It's still in his head. You throw a stone and hear a large echo, but you can't see any giant holes. Do you step forward? I'm sure it will be fine. Or use your whip, just to be sure.
I'll use my whip.
You use your whip and swing neatly across the corridor using the decorative beam. As you get to the other side, the beam comes crashing down through the false floor, revealing a huge pit. You exit the corridor. Do you go up or down?
Is it like steps?
Yes.
Well, the only way is up. Actually, no, because if it's, I'm looking for a treasure, aren't I?
Yes.
So that would presumably would be buried deep.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go down.
So you go down. You step into another long corridor.
Okay.
Once again, vines creep down the sides of the walls, and another pungent smell hangs in the air. The ceiling is low, almost as low as your hat.
My hat.
You wrap your knuckles against the ceiling. That hurt. Each wall has a series of holes at about waist height along the length of the corridor, with accompanying dents in the opposite wall. Weird, right? Do you step forward? I'm sure it'll be fine. Or crawl, just to be sure.
I think I'll crawl to be sure.
You crawl along the floor, unafraid of dirtying your vintage leather jacket. Suddenly, your weight sets off a mechanism which shoots huge spikes from holes in the wall. That was close. You went down last time, didn't you?
Yeah.
You go up this time.
I could get choice in that.
No. Well, it's down and then up.
Right.
You emerge in front of a huge ornate door. You've seen this before. A flick through your journal reveals that you need a key, which according to historical documents was always carried in a bejeweled chest. 2 such chests lie before you, but odd sounds appear to be emanating from them. Do you open the rattling chest or the hissing chest?
Well, I'm Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be instantly predisposed to avoiding hissing noises.
Yeah.
Rattling. There has to be something alive in it, so I'm gonna go with the rattle.
You bend down and unlatch the rattling chest. And
My
to
hat.
grabbing your hat. And to your abject horror and surprise, out springs a giant Mongolian rattling snake. The most dangerous snake of all. Why did it have to be snakes? Do you shoot it or stamp on it?
Oh my god. How big is it?
It's a giant Mongolian rattling snake.
I'll shoot it in the head, I hope.
Okay. You shoot the snake between the eyes, and suddenly the only sound is that of your bullet dancing around the room, destroying dozens of literally priceless antiques. Thank God that's over. You take the key from the chest and open the door, only to find, inexplicably, Emilio Heilman. He stands before the crown of Lombardy. Not so clever now, eh, Dr. Jones, he says in his stupid, non-specific pan-European accent, before turning to reach towards the crown. Do you let Heilman have the crown, or take it for yourself?
Well, I feel like it might be booby-trapped. And I'll talk you through my thought
This
process.
is Indiana Jones post the film, or post the original trilogy.
Right.
So he's had those experiences from which to draw upon.
Right, so I think it could be a booby-trapped, and I think if it is booby-trapped, I'll be able to recover it, and if it's not, then I'll be able to recover it because I can just beat him up or shoot him.
Okay.
So I'll let him grab it.
You let Heilman have the crown. You stay still as Heilman places the crown upon his head. I can see everything. All at once, he cries, first with delight, then abject terror, agony. It turns out the crown grants literal omnipresence, and Heilman expands on a molecular level, screaming in pain as his atoms separate, and it becomes nothing more than a gaseous cloud. The crown lands neatly back on the plinth, steaming slightly.
Did he put it on his head?
He did, yeah. Suddenly, the temple shakes, and you turn, bolting for the door. You knock over the other chest, spilling another snake, but there's no time for that now. Soon you're whipping, sliding back through the corridors, and back towards the exit. Sunlight fades as a giant door closes. You roll under the door, but feel the top of your head. Something's wrong?
My hat!
You grab the hat! Thank goodness! No one would know or care who you were without this iconic hat. You, Indiana Jones, have lived to adventure another day.
You know what? It feels good to be Indiana Jones.
Good. Yeah. Is it all your hopes and dreams come true?
Yeah, I'm invigorated. I feel like there's nothing I can't achieve now.
Good. Well, so
that's a Chris Morris original.
that is Christmas original.
Was it-
I know they're making an Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com is the email address if you want to get in touch.
Yeah, for script consulting.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Spielberg directing?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
And is
I
Harrison Ford is
I won't write it unless Steve's involved.
yeah is Harrison going to be?
Well, we'll see. We'll have to. It's lengthy contract talks at the moment.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, did you enjoy that? You
That was
survived.
good. Yeah, that was good.
That's
It
good.
was the most interesting thing we've done on the podcast.
Okay.
The most original thing we've done in maybe
90 episodes. Okay, well, I'm glad it took this long.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to get in touch, HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com or @HowToSurvivePod on Twitter.
Great.
If you want to stick around after the end of the show, which is in about 30 seconds, then you can hear the what would have happened had you made the wrong choice, Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Speaking of pleasures, you know what's next week, don't you?
Oh, fuck.
Jason X. Episode 91 is Jason X, the next in the Friday the 13th franchise.
Fuck, I genuinely had forgotten.
Yeah, every time as well, you forget. The 10th film, Jason in Space.
In some territories, it's called Jason 2000, I think.
Right.
Because it came out in what year?
2001?
Yeah, it would be much worse. But
You're a scholar of Friday the 13th, aren't you?
I am, and that's fine. I like to be that guy because it's like, can you imagine? It's like your name, Joe Sherville, your occupation, podcast host, and your specialist subject, Friday the 13th franchise movies.
Yeah,
but not the remake.
Yeah,
you'll start at like I've started, so I finish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
and we've started, so we'll finish.
Yes, I think it's about time. So thank you very much for listening. Jason X next week, that'll be a riot, and stick around after the show if you wanted to hear what could have happened if Joe wasn't the keen adventurer that he so obviously is. Thanks very much for listening. Bye.
My hat!
So, the first challenge you faced was the pit, obviously. And so the options were step forward or use your whip. Had you just stepped forward, this is what would have happened. You casually step forward. No reason to be afraid. Why would anyone build a tomb with a trap in it? Oh no! The false floor gives way and you've fallen into a huge bottomless pit. Your bones break and shatter as you hit the bottom and you, Indiana Jones, are dead.
Hold on. How can you hit the bottom of a bottomless pit?
Well, it's got to have a bottom eventually. Oh, fucking hell. It's spent like an hour and a half, right?
Listen, Steve's going to be on the phone soon, and we need to get our story straight. Does it have a bottom or not?
Yeah. The second challenge you had was the spike room. Classic adventurer tomb trap. So if he had stepped forward rather than crawled, this would have happened. You casually step forward. No reason to be afraid. Why would anyone build a trap why would anyone build a tomb with a trap in it? Oh no! A pad in the floor activates and huge spikes shoot out from the walls. Your guts spill out across the floor, and you, Indiana Jones, are dead.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So the left and right. The pit corridor was to the right.
Yeah.
And the spikes was to the left.
Okay.
And then you just did the other one second, basically.
Right. Okay. So it's like
to conserve my thing. Same with up and down.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
So it's basically Uncharted. I thought I was playing Tomb Raider, but I was playing Uncharted.
Yeah. So then you go into the room with the chests. It won't surprise you to know that if you'd opened the hissing chest, you'd have faced a Lebanese hissing snake.
Right.
The most dangerous snake of all.
Was in the other one the most dangerous snake of all?
Exactly. Well, they all are when they're about to attack you. Yeah. Joe. An angry snake is the most dangerous snake of all. That's what you need to remember. So shoot it or stamp on it. If you'd stamped on it, you stamp on the snake's head again and again and again. It's poisonous mush under your boot. You wipe your boot on an old tapestry, which you're sure was probably worthless, and continue. But this did have an unintended consequence because what I didn't tell you is that you only had one bullet. So you shot the snake, which meant that if you'd tried to take the crown for yourself, you'd have fired your gun at Heilman and it would have been empty.
Right.
And so it would have taken the crown anyway. So you'd already set yourself onto the path for the good ending anyway.
So once again, like, it didn't matter what I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you'd taken it for yourself and you'd stamped on the snake, then this is what would have happened. You draw your pistol and gun down Heilman in cold blood. Why didn't I do that more often, you ask yourself, removing your hat and placing the crown upon your head. Suddenly your vision blurs. You're hearing colours, smelling sounds, seeing past, present and future all at once. You're everywhere and always. But wait, you're stretching, tearing, agony. It turns out the crown grants literal omnipresence and you expand on a molecular level, screaming in pain as your atoms separate and you become nothing more than a gaseous cloud. Your fedora lands on the floor, a relic like any other. If only you'd learned something from literally any one of your experiences with ancient artifacts.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, which also tied into never lose your hat, Joe.
Yeah.
Because if you put the crown on, you couldn't have your hat on, could you?
Yeah.
And of course, the last sliding doors moment, very literally, was when the door was sliding shut on your fedora. So if you hadn't shouted, "My hat!" at the appropriate moment, this is what would have happened. Too late, you realise. Your hat! You spin around as the door slams shut, forever sealing itself. Just visible under the door is the brim of your fedora, peeking out as though sad, abandoned, betrayed. No one will recognise you without that iconic hat. Your days of adventure are over.
Oh no. That's sad. That's like the worst ending.
Yeah, the worst ending is death, but then there's the good and bad ending. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed that.
I did. Thanks, mate. Look forward to next week with our Jason X Choose Your Own Adventure. Imagine. When's that Friday the 13th game out?
Game one?
Yeah.
Fuck knows, mate.
Looks good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
You play as Jason and like
Counts.
scared teenager.
Well, it's multiplayer, isn't it? So someone's Jason and someone's campers.
Yeah. Do you think people would be interested in that if we do it?
Email in HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Someone did email that in, didn't they? Or they emailed the board game.
Yes.
But then it turned out the board game was like
it's not called
copyright infringement.
It's like
central.
It's called like Friday night.
Friday the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Well, again, thank you for listening after hours to the end of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Again, email in HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com, Twitter @HowToSurvivePod. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
We do enjoy doing the podcast. I think the last few weeks we've been a little bit
tired.
Yeah, down.
I think that's what it is. Because today we're recording on a Friday night.
Yeah. Which means we can get
moderately drunk. And it's good. It lubricates the vocal cords.
Yeah.
And it means we can prep a little bit more. Got the Friday afternoon, a little bit more chill.
Yeah.
But Thursdays or Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Mondays.
We used to record on a Monday.
Yeah.
And for various reasons, we used to record somewhere that was a bit more convenient for both of us.
Yes.
That's no longer the case.
Yeah.
And now it takes a substantial amount of time, especially for you to get home.
Yeah.
So
it's all right, mate. I'm not going down. But I think what it is as well is we had a run of very bad films.
Well, we had but we had Get Out and Free Fire, so I don't think it's just the films. I think what it was seeing so many. We saw 4 cinema releases in a row.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and a lot of effort.
Yeah,
so a lot harder to do that than watch it in your own time.
Yes,
sat on the sofa.
I mean, I watched Oculus on my iPad this morning.
Yeah. So, hopefully you enjoy the podcast. We do enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And
genuinely, like it's a highlight of my week. Sitting down here talking to you about movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially the shit ones.
The shit ones are the best. They're the most popular as well.
Yeah.
We had a tweet in this week. You were very rude to the young guy. Kieran tweeted in and he said that he wants to see more old school movies.
Yeah.
And you said like something. What'd you say?
I said it's not our fault if his mum doesn't let him out of the house to see new films.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think he was on board with
he appreciated it. It's top bands.
Bands. A non-stop banter. The Archbishop of banter, really.
Yeah,
anyways.
Absolutely.
And he maybe he's right. Maybe because this is an old school film. We've got more value from it. We enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
We've got more to say about it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, what's interesting, if you look at our most downloaded episodes, there's quite a broad range because it seems to be like what you might call modern classics.
Yeah.
And then
Titanic's up there.
Titanic, 28 Days Later, like The Martian, like just some odd ones as well. Like War of the Worlds was a really popular one, as you said, maybe because we were pissed when we were doing it.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean people don't know that when they download it. So.
No, I know, yeah. But then I wonder if like one day we'll find like a forum post where someone's gone, listen to these 2 idiots talking about War of the Worlds when they're pissed.
Yeah.
Like, what a bunch of cunts.
Yeah. What on like
War of the Worlds fanzine forum.com. Yeah.
Do you know what? Speaking of The Martian, where was I yesterday? I was in a bar yesterday.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who had a hoodie. And it said like space exploration on it. And I was like, all right. It's like like Matalan or like Primark do like NASA hoodies.
Yeah.
And I think there's one of those. And I was like, it's not the NASA logo. but the hood was covering like the logo part. I was like, that's really weird. And eventually I realized that they had the names of astronauts printed across the back of it.
Right.
And there was Watney, like Hernandez.
What, fictional astronauts?
Yeah, it was.
The
And then
people
I
from the
realized,
Martian.
the logo wasn't NASA, it was Ares 2, which is,
Right.
or Ares 6, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, this guy had a fucking,
Love to the Martians so much.
he bought the hoodie.
Yeah.
That's, like, if he.
It's a fine film.
Yeah.
Like, I mean that in a, it's fine.
Yeah.
As opposed to it is like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't work on the film, he has no right to be wearing that.
Yeah.
That's mental.
I can't imagine anyone saying that The Martian is their favourite film.
Well, come on. There'll be people.
No, I'm sure there will be, but like I can't imagine anyone who's seen like 100 films,
Yeah.
like 100 good films.
I can't imagine anyone who watches multiple films every week for their podcast.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've listened this far, you've obviously some sort of mad devotee,
Yeah.
or like me, just desperate for any sort of audio in your ears that will distract you from commuting
Yeah.
or whatever else you're doing.
Yeah. What?
So email in with your suggestions of films we cover. We do try and factor them in. Obviously, when stuff comes out, like Alien Covenant's coming out soon.
We kind of have to do that because it's like we're horror fans, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a film that we're both looking forward to quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
But I was looking forward to Life in the same way, and that was like quite a disappointment.
yeah, well, hopefully Alien Covenant won't be so bad.
I think you hit the nail on the head a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Life. You said you think it's going to be piss poor, which is like they fucked up every Alien film except the first two.
Yeah. Oh, what Covenant? You mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be piss poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling. About
Like you
it.
have to take it in a completely different direction, right?
Yeah.
Because
But then the direction they've taken it. But then the direction that they've taken it in is Prometheus.
yeah, which is bad.
It's not bad. It's just
I've genuinely never seen it. I've just heard like it's boring.
You've never seen Prometheus?
No.
Okay. Well, I think you need to watch that
Before
Alien
Alien Covenant, yeah.
because that is like a direct sequel.
Yeah, Fassbender's the robot, isn't it?
Mm.
The thing is, right, it's like Alien was good because it took it in a completely, like it was a new horror.
Yeah.
It was like a space slasher, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But it was something we'd never seen before
Mm-hmm.
because we weren't born. But right,
Yeah.
it was new to cinema.
Yeah.
In the Museum of Cinema, it would be like Alien is like a groundbreaking
like
movie.
things get accepted into like the American Smithsonian Music Archive or whatever.
Yeah, you talk about it in the same breath as you talk about movies like The Shining,
Yeah.
where it's like obviously a massive undertaking and like massively
Like an
influential.
artistic achievement.
Yeah, exactly. And Alien
Hmm.
2, same sort of situation, right? It was different. It was an action movie,
Yeah.
but in that same sort of universe.
Yeah. You lose like Aliens. A lot of people like Aliens more than Alien.
Yeah,
Aliens is by no means a bad film.
yeah,
But it loses an enormous amount of the nuance that is present in Alien,
yeah,
like thematically and tonally and all that sort of thing.
exactly. But it's not a bad film. It's
No.
still exciting and
No.
still enjoyable to watch.
Alien 3 is like a victim of its
Studio.
production.
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection is bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad film. Prometheus is okay. I think it's unfairly like
Maligned.
yeah. I think like it's another one of these films where if it wasn't connected to a franchise, it would probably be looked upon really differently.
Mm. I think right, Alien Covenant will either be really successful if it goes in a certain direction, and based on the promotional materials which we've discussed, and I don't want to say it on air because I don't want to spoil it for people because it's quite spoilery. In the sense of like you sort of see things in the movie. It's not like
in the trailer. It's like you watch the trailer and you feel to some extent that you've seen a lot of the film.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like they could take it in a very clever direction and say like, here's something we haven't seen before. Here's something in this universe which we thought would be interesting to do, and here's like something you didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Whether they actually do that.
Yeah, exactly. It could just be
another
like, flying face crawlers, and you're like,
Yeah.
great, face huggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's hope they get it right.
Yeah.
What other movies are you looking forward to this year?
There's a film coming out by Martin McDonagh, who is the writer-director of In Bruges.
Okay, yeah.
And he has written a film called Three
Billboards Outside of
Epping, Missouri,
yeah.
which stars Francis McDormand and Woody Harrelson.
Mm-hmm.
That looks very good. I actually can't think of any off the top of my head.
The trailer for that is cut as like a weird like action drama.
Yeah,
but then it's like obviously a comedy.
Yeah, like Francis McDormand is very funny.
Yeah.
At least in the trailers, he's like laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of many like franchise films that are coming out this year, which are like the ones that you think of when you think like, because a lot of films just. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. There's a film called It Comes at Night, which is a horror film produced by A24.
Mm-hmm.
And I would advise anyone who's listening to this to go out and watch the trailer for that, because it's an excellent trailer, gives away very little, and looks terrifying. And A24 are the people behind The Witch, Green Room, I think, like possibly It Follows, definitely Moonlight. Like they've
that sort of tone of film.
Well, they've only been around for like sort of 6 years or something, and they've had like they did Ex Machina as well. Like just like an insane. In fact, I'll tell you what, like because we're free timing basically. Oh look. What are you doing?
Keep knocking the mic over. You look it up. I'll get wine.
Okay. Right. So A24 Films. They did a few sort of like, well, a couple of films that are very low budget, and then in 2013 they did Spring Breakers, The Bling Ring.
Bling Ring is meant to be awful though.
Well, it made some money, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like.
Yeah, fine. Enemy, which is a Denis Villeneuve film. Under the Skin, Lock. I'm sort of skipping over ones that I haven't heard of, basically. But, A Most Violent Year, which is an Oscar Isaac film. Ex Machina, Slow West, Amy, Room, The Witch, Green Room, The Lobster, Swiss Army Man, American Honey, Moonlight, Free Fire, It Comes at Night. This is into this year, basically. Yeah, so it's like a insanely good.
Yeah, it's a mixture of like
rate.
Really high concept films and like very moody films.
Well, it seems to be like sort of independent, like visually striking, independent.
High concept movies.
Yeah, like you know,
Free Fire, like guys in a warehouse shooting each other.
Yeah.
That's your concept.
Yeah. Fucking hell, you give me like double the wine you've given yourself. That's not that far, actually. Anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey. Cheers.
90 down.
Yeah. 90 more to go till 180. Then we'll see where we are.
We'll see you at 181.
Should we tell people what we're going to do next?
What, the film we're going to do next?
No. I mean, like now. What we're going to do now.
No.
No?
No. Just in case we don't do it.
Then we have to do it.
No, come on.
No?
No.
Fuck it. Cut that out.
Bye.